robust agenda tonight, so I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting of the Clintonville Area Commission to order. Is there a motion to approve the agenda for tonight? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Fantastic. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you could please rise, and Officer Brown, if you don't mind leading us again. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll kick things off with district updates, starting with Commissioner Moritz.
Park Board's District 6, two things. One has nothing to do with being a commissioner, but I got to meet a lot of residents and I served at the polls with the last primary election. That was a lot of fun, and I recommend everybody to sign up for serving on the polls, get to know all of your neighbors. Most of them come by. The other thing I did is I went downtown to an open house for Bike Plus to give input on the bike plan that the city is developing. I'm very excited to see what they're doing, and I was also very excited to see all the engagement with residents from the city of Columbus. That's it.
Thank you. Commissioner Miller.
Drew Miller, District 9. I don't have anything for
Thank you. Commissioner Kroll.
Hugh Kroll, District 4, nothing to report.
Thank you. Commissioner Hively.
Josh Hively, District 8. Big news from District 8 today is Chick-fil-A is officially open for business. Other than that, nothing to report.
Thank you. Brittany Bolton, District 5. I want to thank the Kiwanis for putting on a really fantastic egg hunt and delaying when there were threats of lightning and pivoting really quickly on the spot last weekend. And other than that, a lot of this past month has been spent around 311 requests. There was a day where many of the traffic lights were out on High Street, some of you may have noticed. And there was also some roadkill on Chatham Road that has been attracting some odd large birds that have been concerning our neighbors. So that's the news for District 5. Commissioner Lotta.
Hi, Paul Lotta, District 1. Nothing to report other than there's a couple of events coming up. On 4/20, there's a Glen Echo Park cleanup. Glen Echo Park is the southern border of Clintonville Area Commission, beginning at 9 a.m. And the next day, Portal Park, the Friends of Portal Park, which a lot of people in District 1 are part of, even though the park is just outside of our boundary. Sunday morning, 4/21, 9 to 11, there's a cleanup there. And there's also normal cleanups are there every fourth Sunday of the month, April through October, if anyone's interested. Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Nutter.
Greg Nutter, District 2. I don't have a lot to report, but I do want to bring up a couple things. We do have a lot of things going on in the business world in Clintonville, so we have a lot of new businesses. I think a lot of new businesses within the last month or so. In addition to Chick-fil-A opening today, we had Wario's open. We've had, if you guys tried it, it's pretty decent. So, pretty welcome to have them there. We also had a Jenny's Diner, which is also relatively new. Hard to get in sometimes, so ample parking. And as far as coming up, I want to recognize Wylands for Jennifer Williams and Scott Bowman for retiring and selling their business to two managers of the store that have been longtime employees of the business, about 10 years or so, which is Dave Phillips and Andy Russell. So if you're in the store and you see them, just say congratulations. Hopefully they'll be a long-time supporter of the Clintonville area. You all know that I recognize good neighbors, and the last month I recognized the people on West Weber for working together to come up with a plan for Columbia Gas for our new substation that they're building. This month I would like to recognize actually Josh and his wife Nikki for taking up residence in the old Ride-A-Rama building coming up soon, so they're supposed to be opening soon. Nikki had the tiger tree across the street, so she's moving to a bigger location. And then also brought her husband, who has a cub shrub in Grandview, so they're going to come to Clintonville, so it's a plus for us in Clintonville. So hopefully that we all support local businesses and really be a good neighbor for all our businesses. One other thing I do have real quick, and it's happened when I mentioned it last month, but we've had a couple accidents on North Broadway. We had 2 in 1 hour on North Broadway. And it was kind of disturbing, and it's usually during the rush hour time where people are not paying attention, and yes, people do text while they're driving, I guarantee that. You know, and the disturbing thing about the whole situation was I talked to a few of the patrolmen that were there responding to the accident. As we were standing there having a discussion, cars just zoomed right by. Okay, so one policeman just looked at me and I said, yeah, it happens all the time. You know, where people are just passing through, they run lights and everything. So the other patrolman responded, well, it's difficult when you have a 25 miles crossroad with a 45-mile speed limit on the main road. And I said, 1, it's not 45 miles an hour, it's 35. All the more reason we should have 25. You know, they may be 145 or more because we have the speed and I see it. But that's something we really need to revisit. And while we're on that topic, I believe one of the resolutions we passed was to address the speed limits in Clintonville. And I'd like to really have an update on what's going on with those resolutions that we talked about.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And that's maybe something we could open that conversation back up with the city and see how those have been received. I think that was January or December we passed those. Yeah.
December.
Thank you. Commissioner Osborne.
I'm Donna Lee Osborne, District 3, no updates.
Thank you. Commissioner Wyman.
Mike Wyman, District 7, no updates.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Lawrence, are you prepared to share the approval of CAC meeting minutes? I know you are prepared, are you?
As I shared
I mean in time and place now.
So I shared the minutes with all the commissioners right after last month's meeting and just earlier this week. All the feedback that I got. Ready to go.
Is there a motion to approve the March minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Commissioner Miller, is there any treasurer's report?
Nothing to report other than, Mr. Hu, you invited me to, Department of Neighborhoods, fiscal policy training, meeting next Wednesday, and then it's qualifying, training for the following Saturday. I'm sure that's.
Well, thank you. I think on that note, we can go ahead and move on to our city updates. Mr. Hui, if you would like to start, and I know I think we have our new liaison as well.
I'll yield to Nancy first.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed Councilmember. Not fair, I'm sorry.
I'll see what you say and then I'll follow.
We have Council, and I've only seen your name in writing, I apologize. How do, day a shower?
Day off hour.
Day off hour. Welcome to the Clintonville Area Commission.
It is a challenging name.
Glad to have
I'm
you.
a day, I'm married in off hour. So thank you for having me today. I took office in January and I am from District 2, which is your neighboring district to the west. That's the part of Columbus that surrounds Hilliard. And I first want to start by thanking you all for serving on an area commission. I served on the Westland Area Commission for 8 years, so I have a great heart for what it is that you do and appreciation for all those hours that you all put in, because I know you do it because you love your community. There's certainly no glory and no pay in it. For starters, I serve on my chair, the Neighborhoods, Rec and Park, and Public Art and Culture Committee, so sort of a fun committee that get to do a lot of exciting things, and we've got some great things happening here in the city of Columbus. Some things that are just in the early stages, such as the Linden Green Line, which will be an incredible long parkway, a little bit 7 miles. We've got the public art. I don't know if any of you have been following the community meetings around public art and monuments and really taking a look at what public art we have and how we can bring more public art to our community that actually makes sense in the particular communities. So there's continuing conversations on that, and I invite you all, if you're able to attend those meetings and give your input on that. I know a lot of people just think it's about Christopher Columbus Monument, but it's actually a whole dialogue about public art and monuments in general, and what do we want to be representative of our city and our neighborhoods. So, other exciting things coming up. We have, with the last budget, I passed an ordinance that will help our nonprofits. And we have a lot of great scrappy little nonprofits out there, and they are important small businesses in our community. But they get their funding differently than, of course, other small businesses. And so often, the initiatives and programs to help small businesses just don't make sense for nonprofits because of the way they get their money. So we are partnering with the Human Services Chamber on this program where nonprofits, when we sponsor their membership with the chamber, which enables them to get training in all sorts of different things, like human resources and finance and all that. It enables them to, for free, get access to the grants database so they can find a variety of sources for grants. And it will give them access to an assistant grant writer. Because quite often, nonprofits struggle because they're really good at what they do, but grant writing is a very specialized task. And not everybody knows how to really fill those out in a way that catches the eye of the people going through those grants. So there'll be someone to help them with that. So we're hoping that this will help shore up these small nonprofits. And by small, I'm talking some of them have, can have 20 some odd employees, but still on the scale of business, they would be considered small. So we're hoping that's gonna really help our small businesses that are running these nonprofits continue to thrive. So it'll be rolling out in a couple months. So if y'all know any great nonprofits that could use some little help shoring up their business, keep an eye out for on our website, City Columbus, and on my social media for when we'll be rolling that out. I'm very excited about that. And that's kind of a general overview because you got a full agenda.
No, that's wonderful. A lot of work since January, and I love your work with the Human Service Chamber. I've worked in the nonprofit space for a long time, and they're a wonderful resource for our community, and sounds like a really great initiative. So I'm excited to see that launch. Are there any questions from my fellow commissioners? Any questions from the public? Wonderful. We are so glad to have had you in Clintonville, and you're welcome to stick around as long as you like. We are covering a resolution about the Arbor Day Festival happening hopefully in Clintonville in August. So
I've always stayed for the whole meeting. Actually, my aide, my legislative aide, Jacob, is here, and he will pass out our business cards so that you can get a hold of us. And so even though I'm not your council members by district, we serve the entire city. So feel free to hit me up, especially if it's in that area of my committee work. So thanks for having us.
thank you so much for joining us tonight. And thank you, Mr. Hui, for recognizing that she was back there. I missed her at first.
Good evening, Clintonville. David Hui with the Department of Neighborhoods. I oversee our neighborhood liaisons. We have a new neighborhood liaison, Stacy Biddle. I know she was here last month for commissioners, but for folks in the audience, it's not me, it's not Catherine Call, it's not Rebecca Deeds, it's her now. Get her. Do you have cards yet? She has cards now, so okay. A couple of start with city attorney updates. We did have our city attorney training. Thanks, I know Stephen was there. That training is online on the CBUS website if you'd like to view it. I think it went pretty well. A note about BZA applications. We've had some issues with developers that submit BZA applications, and what you're voting on, just so you know. When you're voting on a BZA application, that means you're voting on the reduction in setback, the reduction in parking, the height variance. It's an adjustment to the zoning code. What you're not voting on is if they show you elevations and what the building's going to look like. And that doesn't turn out to be what they actually build, that's not what you're voting on. So our guidance from the city attorney's office is when you make those recommendations, say, based on the elevations that you've shown us tonight, we recommend approval of whatever zoning variance or adjustments in the zoning code is. Because we've had a lot of applications that were approved, say 2020, 2021, and now the building's there, and it looks nothing like what the architect and developer showed the commission. So there's really no recourse unless you do that in your recommendation. So I would recommend that you make that part of your zoning policy.
Can I just make sure we 100% understand that component? So on our BZA standardized recommendation form, we should use the language based on the elevations we've reviewed. Okay, I just want to make sure we have the right language.
Is that a condition of the approval?
I'm not exactly sure what happens if they build a building that they didn't, that they misrepresented. It's a really bad thing for a developer to do, to show you pictures that I'm not sure that the city would have much recourse, but at least you would have something in writing that says, we based our decision based on what you showed us at the meeting.
And BZA is not approving the elevations either?
No. So in particular, there was an Iowa Supreme Court decision that Stephen actually brought to my attention, that I talked to the city attorney. And we talked about it at our training too. And this is, anything I tell you is just guidance. I'm not telling you cannot do things. But the Supreme Court hearing affects me, Stacy, and all of you because we're public officials. And it basically says if you have a private social media page that's in your name, and you talk about area commission business, then it becomes public record. It also becomes, there's some sunshine law stuff in there too, where you're discussing public business on your private email account or Facebook, whatever, Instagram. So our guidance is, don't do that.
Can I ask another clarifying question? Does it apply just to the post or the full profile? Because I know sometimes folks will repost area commission things to their private profile from a specific meeting. Does that then open up their entire profile and all their pictures of their grandkids and everything?
So our guidance is don't mention anything about area commissions, don't mention that you're an area commissioner. Leave all that to the Clintonville Area Commission Facebook page. And your Facebook page should be informational only. Business shouldn't be discussed. Videos, minutes, that kind of stuff. But you shouldn't be, our guidance is you should not be posting like agendas, minutes, and talking anything about the area commission on your private accounts unless you want to open yourself up to public records requests. You also, the Supreme Court decision says you can't, once you start talking about public business on your private account, then you cannot block people.
Okay.
And by the way, you can't block people on the Clintonville site.
We don't.
Either.
Is this going to be covered during the sunshine law training that's coming up? There is one, right?
That was
That
last.
I gotta watch the recording.
And moving off of the city attorney, we do have, we do in partnership with Nancy's office, we have significant more funding this year to promote area commission elections and to raise awareness of area commission. So I don't have to sell you guys anything because you're already doing the citywide elections. So, and by the way, we have 14 now, so we're almost there. We have 14 out of 21 that are going to participate this year. So that'll be a great thing. Thank you, Nancy, for providing that.
Actually, if I could just clarify, it's not just about the elections, but it's about promoting area commissions to the city at large so that they know who they are and that it's something that they can get involved in. So it'll just be a full round of marketing.
Wonderful.
And lastly, I'll go over because we have some confusing sort of meetings coming up for you guys. So yes, we have a fiscal process meeting with select area commissioners. Drew's one of them. I think we have 7 or so area commissions represented, and this is sort of just a listening session to This is the second one, will be the last one, to get your input on what we're gonna move forward with procurement and how you guys purchase things. I think you'll be pleased. It's been bumpy a little bit, but we're gonna buy some bulk accounts. One of the things we asked commissioners last time was, tell us where you buy things from. And so the Department of Neighborhoods is we're gonna set up accounts for all the commissions, tax exempt accounts, so it's very easy for you to put things in carts. And we're gonna turn that over to treasurers, so again, the liaisons have been doing that so far. And the liaisons are gonna have your procurement cards so they can buy whatever you guys want. So the second meeting is for treasurers and chairs only. That is on April the 20th. That will also be WebEx. And the third thing, I don't know how familiar you guys are with your Pride Center, but we were doing a reimagining of the Pride Center since they're about 20 years old. We want to make sure we're providing services, resources, whatever you guys want. And we met with every city department about it, and now we're going to meet with area commissioners. In this meeting, we're inviting chairs and vice chairs, and that will be May the 8th at the Near East Pride Center. Sorry, it's our biggest conference room, and it'll hold 50 people or so. So that'll be to get your input on what you'd like to see at your Pride Centers in the future. And yeah, the things that we got from city departments and others that I've talked to is we want bigger meeting spaces so we can have multi-purpose type events, and we'd also like the public to have access to computers and internet, printing, and we are considering, there's no Pride Center that they're all fairly small offices if you've been there, but there's not one that's safe from moving, because I think we do need bigger spaces, especially in the outlying areas. But no one has questions for me. That's my report.
Any questions from the commissioners? Commissioner Warren?
So what are Pride Centers?
What are Pride Centers? It's where your neighborhood liaisons work. But I guess the easiest way to say it is we have partner agencies. So code enforcement's there. Our CLOs are there. Your Pride Center happens to be in a police substation, and we have health department, social workers, refuse inspectors, Celebrate One workers, and the idea is twofold: to get our frontline staff to work together and communicate. And the second is for you guys, if you want to talk to one of those people, or get services, or talk to our social worker or our liaison, you don't have to go downtown. You have to go to 11th Summit. But we'd like to offer much more. I should say 311 is now there. So we have 311 operators there that you can speak to. You don't want to talk to somebody on the phone. But yeah, that's basically what we do.
I did have a quick question. I think Catherine had been working on trying to get business cards for our new commissioners, and there was an issue with the printer not having the appropriate proof. At this point, I feel like we're ready to we can order whatever. I don't know, Stacy, if she left you notes on that, or if that's something we can track down. I think Commissioner Nutter, Commissioner Miller, and Commissioner Lotta are the three. Do you have some?
Yeah.
Okay, are the three that just still need business cards, so we can try to get those ordered. I'm happy to connect with you about the design or whatever else. They had like our little logo we use, but it's not an official look.
Yeah, let me say one more thing about printing. So if you our print shop, the city's print shop, can do anything that any of your printers can do, and it doesn't cost you anything.
Okay.
It doesn't come out of your budget. It comes out of the department's budget.
Great.
So we can do business cards, and feel free to use a local printer if you want to, but know that it doesn't come out of your $2,500 when you print through the city print shop.
I think we could go ahead and print through the city print shop. Yeah, we did not know that.
Yeah.
So. Great. Any questions from the public for the city partner neighborhoods? Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Lee. And I think I see Mr. Kokuyaboa in the back from City Council. Welcome.
Thank you. How's everybody doing? I'm Harrison Kokuyaboa with City Council, investment. So I have no highlight, but I do have some upcoming events and events that we have coming up that I would like everybody to be aware of. So today we had an event by Councilmember Nick Bankston, which was a small business roundup, which was held at Columbus State Conference Center at 5 p.m. So it already passed, but I just wanted to share that we have that going on today. And then this Saturday, Councilmember Emmanuel Reedy has a Cleaner Columbus citywide cleanup, which he has partnered with Cleaner Columbus Initiative, which will be held this Saturday, April 6th at 9 a.m. to noon. It will be, the kickoff will be at Goodell Shelter House, 120 West Goodell Street. I'll also send the email information so that you have that as well too. If you are definitely interested in joining, please let me know, or you can let Emmanuel Remy's staff know as well, and we'll make sure that you are registered for it. He does it every year to basically help clean the entire city, and it's a nice initiative that he has going on. And then Councilmember Nick Bankston has a public hearing on the City Center Dora public hearing, which is the designed outdoor refreshment area. This is basically roughly a 0.62 square miles, which is gonna be, they're gonna allow 21-year-olds to like walk in the outdoor with alcoholic beverages for us. So if you wanna know more information about it, please feel free. It will be happening April 10th on a Wednesday at 5 p.m. at Land Grant Brew Company, 424 West Town Street. If you are interested, please email JP, is a legislative aide, and they will be able to give you more information on that. And then lastly, we have Councilmember White, who is having his community meeting with his constituency, his district, basically talk about his first 100 days, what things that he has achieved and done. This will be held April 11th on a Thursday at Lizelle Woods Community Center, 8140 St. Louis Boulevard. And like I said, I will have all this information as well too. And then the last two things, this one is the one that I want to be loud on, is the North Side Council community meeting on the North Side that we have each year will be held this month, April 24th on a Wednesday at 6 p.m. to 7:30. This is a chance and opportunity for you to meet all the 9 council members, and if you have any issues, to be up there and also talk to department leaders. So we always encourage the community and everybody to be there, especially if you've been chasing a council member around. That is the best place to get them, but we will be there to help out as well too. So, and it will be held at Northland High School. I forgot the address, 1919 Northland, but I will send the information, but it is at Northland High School. And then the next day after that, April 25th, is our upcoming Council Academy, and these are meetings that we have to educate the community about various topics that we talk about. Last time we talked about how to be a vendor with the City of Columbus. We had about 45 people show up basically to learn how to be a vendor. And then this time, April 25th, we're holding it at Parsons Branch Library at 6 p.m. And the topic for this time is affordable housing resources, which will be led by Councilmember Favor. So basically, any questions that you have about affordable housing and resources, she'll be there with some experts, and they'll be there to answer any questions that you have. So I know I said a lot. I gave out at least 6 different events that were happening. We encourage everybody to attend all of them. I know it's something about numbers, but you saw important information that will definitely help out. And I will also send out all of it. That's that as well.
Busy April.
Yes, busy April. And now there's a lot of busy coming up too.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kokiba. Are there any questions from commissioners? Any questions from the public? Excellent. Looking forward to all the events. Thank you. Officer Brown has an update for us.
Yep.
Welcome.
I sent you guys an email
Would you
regarding.
like me to pull it
It's
up?
up to you. You're more than welcome to if you'd like. Good evening, commissioners.
Good evening.
So, I got quite a few bulletins I would like to touch on tonight. On the 27th of March, we had a armed robbery at the UDF at 327 East Hudson. The suspect fled on foot. He was described as a male black, 40 to 60 years of age, 5'6", 160, wearing black, wearing all black with a gray sweatshirt and gloves. He also had a robbery on the 15th at the Bank of America at 399 North High Street. Suspect was described as a male black, 6 foot, 160 pounds, 28 years of age. If you see the stats for last month, our robbery rates they're very high. We've had a lot of shopliftings gone bad, strong arm robberies, and those numbers are going up. A couple of suspects that we believe that are committing a lot of the thefts, and they're turning them into robberies as they're being as brazen or fighting with store personnel. They're staying at the Tuttle Park. So that Tuttle Park is scheduled for cleanup. The unhoused camps there are scheduled for cleanup along with all the debris. The City of Columbus homeless advocate, he was advised that these suspects are living in that park. So I recommended that he doesn't send any advocates or contractors to go out and do the cleanup without touching base with us, making sure those individuals have been taken into custody. So that cleanup might be a little slower than most because of these two individuals. Let's see here, what else we got? Oh, got a homeless camp, an unhoused camp between the railroad tracks, between North Broadway and Oakland Park. I've gotten a lot of complaints on this camp. I went out and visited the camp, met with some of the unhoused there, provided literature listing services that would help them out. Also discovered that one of the males that was living there at the camp was actually struck by a train on February 13th. Went ahead and made contact with CSX because they own that property, so their authorities are going to have to go out and actually address that homeless camp. We can't clean it up without them going out and addressing that. Let's see here, also was advised of a resident on Hill Avenue that's got a refrigerator on the front porch by patrol officers. They've been into that resident numerous times. I passed that information on to the code enforcement. Code enforcement has went out and addressed that issue. Got additional 311 complaints on homeless camps, unhoused camps at 390 Archland, and also at 100 West Duncan. I haven't been out to those camps yet, but I'll get out there and see if they were actually rolling campings. The city yesterday just completed Operation Unity on Zone 6. Zone 6 is 2 precinct, 7 precinct, and 5 precinct. So those are just east of us. Operation Unity, when we do Operation Unity, we flood the area with a lot of law enforcement presence and just do proactive police work. So I didn't get the numbers, but I know that a lot of vehicles were cited for speeding. A lot of parkers were cited for parking infractions. There were a lot of warrants served and arrests were made. So we flood that area, that zone for a day with law enforcement. I think we do that 4 times a year. Zone 4 has not been scheduled as of yet. And obviously I can't advise you when they're scheduled, but after it's been completed, I will provide you with that information. And then I try to end on a high note. On March 19th, members of the CLO unit, myself and another CLO, we did a presentation to the Cub Scouts, Troop 28 and 728 at the United Methodist Church on anti-drugs.
Thank you very much, Officer Brown. That was a lot of updates, yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Commissioner?
Yes.
So the comment in Tuttle Park, I think there are multiple camps.
Yes, there are.
River.
Yes,
And
yes.
further.
Yep. Yeah, we went out.
Will they all be?
Yes, they all will be, yeah. But until these 2 individuals get in custody or during the cleanup, you'll have police persons out there doing that. They're on the list. The problem is that is a long list. They have a lot of camps throughout the city of Columbus, and the funding is low. And the advocate has to go out and have contractors go out and bid those cleanups. So it's a long process.
Any questions from neighbors? Thank you very much, Officer Brown.
I'll take this jacket. If I'm burning.
It's warm in here.
I'll be back.
Thank you. Okay. Do we have someone from city attorney's office here today? I don't think we do, and I feel like we got a robust update from Department of Neighborhoods about the city attorney's office recommendations as well. Oh, different city attorney. Okay. Mr. Lewis, Department of Building and Zoning Services. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Welcome. Do I have slides I'm supposed to pull up or?
No,
Okay.
I actually just wanted to provide a brief update.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
and a lot of the information will be geared towards everybody going to the website and
Great.
engaging that way. So,
Okay, perfect.
thank you everybody for allowing me to come out tonight. Appreciate it. It's a nice night to be here. I just wanted to provide a couple of updates regarding the zoning code update project. This morning, council and Mayor Ginther and also some members from the community had a press conference where Mayor Ginther announced that he was going to present the phase 1 of the zoning code update to council. And so he did that this morning. We had Council President Harden. We also had Council Member Dorans, or President Pro Tem Dorans was there, along with other council members too to support. And so then also Carly Booz from the Affordable Housing Coalition of Central Ohio gave some remarks. And they all were just talking about what a pivotal time this is for the city of Columbus. The zoning code hasn't been updated in 70 years. That's a long time. I mean, I wasn't around 70 years ago. I know 70 years ago there was a lot different view of what this city wanted. We heard from a lot of individuals in the community doing community engagement and just holding a lot of different community conversations that we're eager for an updated zoning code. We want to provide more equity. We also want to have a Columbus that will accommodate the needs of the growing population that will be coming here. And so we need to start thinking about ways that we can update this code so that we can absorb the changes that are coming. So after Mayor Ginther presented the proposal, what's going to happen from there is that on Monday, council is going to hear a resolution essentially saying that, hey, this is the proposal we have for you to consider. We want you to look at this. And then also from that, if and when they pass that resolution, that will start a 60-day public comment period. And that comment period is where we want to hear from all of you on this proposal. What do you think about it? What things did we get right? What are your thoughts? What are if you want to go deep and understand more about this proposal, we have a zone in gallery that we'll be having on the City of Columbus campus. It's at 141 North Front Street. And so we're going to take that conference room space and turn it into a zoning code update extravaganza. So anything that you want to know about our process, anything you want to know about why we decided to update the zoning code, what was needed to update the zoning code, what we heard from individuals out in the community, so on and so forth, it's all going to be displayed at the Zone-In Gallery. That will be open next week once the resolution passes on the 8th, if it does. We anticipate that it will. Once it passes on the 8th, then on the 9th, we're gonna have that zoning gallery open to the public. And so it'll be open for, it's not gonna close until July. So you've got plenty of time to come down. You can bring your friends, your family members, neighbors, step cousins, brothers, whoever you want to come down and see what we've done thus far on this, with this proposal. and just give us your reactions to it and let us know what you think. And with that, I would say that if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to email zoningupdate@columbus.gov. I manage that inbox, and so I can respond to you with pertinent information. Yeah, it got an uptick in emails today. So if it takes me a day or so to respond to you, I apologize. I'm climbing out from being buried with all of the requests, but your input is important to us, and we definitely want to hear from you. Also, our website has prompts on it where you can sign up to visit the gallery, so you can get a specific spot. And then also, if you want a one-on-one or a guided tour, we have that option there. It's right at the top of the website as you go on it. It's got prompts saying, hey, do you want to reserve the time? Do you want a group that you want to bring through? Click this. So we encourage the area commission to come down. Again, we just want to hear from the public.
I would love to, I will volunteer to put together a doodle poll. If the area commissioners want to go as a group, I'd love to go down as a group and tour together and do a guided tour.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
And we're actually in the process of scheduling area commission kind of theme nights. So there will be council members that will be at the gallery on certain nights. And so that we specifically wanted to set that up so that if the area commission wanted to come down, and maybe I see council member Day Hour is here. So if you wanted to come down on the night that she's there and you know, experience the zoning gallery with her, there's that option as well. So.
We'll make sure there's no quorum.
Right, yeah, for sure. Thank you for saying that. We've done all that on the back end, but yeah, definitely we'll make sure that we don't have to worry about formation.
Thank you so much for this update, and I really appreciate it. I know we went back and forth a couple times on the agenda and everything, so thank you for making it so powerful. And
thank you for having me.
yeah,
really
it's very important, and it's something we've talked about a lot, and I know we had a big meeting at Whetstone on public engagement opportunities. So are there questions for Mr. Lewis and the commissioners while we have him tonight? Any questions from the public? Okay, great. Well, really appreciate all the information. I look forward to coming to the gallery, and Clintonville will definitely stay engaged as the process unfolds. So.
Yes, thank you for all of the work that you've done thus far.
Thank you so much. Have a great evening. You're welcome to stay as long as you want, but have a great evening.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. I believe our next speaker is Elections Chair Melissa Dahl. Welcome.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Chair of the Election Committee, Melissa Dahl, and I'm representing the 5% Election Committee to talk about the most interesting topic of the night, which is proposed changes to the election rules. We're obligated to do this and put it in the public record. I'll try to make this as painless as possible. But a few preliminaries. More to come at subsequent CAC meetings, also on the CAC website, Facebook page, on the election process date, the budget and the marketing collateral that the City of Columbus is going to help with. So tonight is just focused on this procedural element. I will say that the districts that are open for election later in the summer are 4, 5, and 7. So start thinking about it if you're interested. And the current commissioners can start thinking about if they want to run again. But for now, there are 6 proposed changes that the election committee discussed at an open meeting. It was on February 24th. And most of these are clarifying, just kind of trying to enhance the election rules that have been around for a long time, very robust. And so I'll try to just run through really quickly. Appreciate any feedback. The first item pertains to the candidate process. There's a section here that talks about, to the extent that there's challenges to the residency of a candidate, that the election committee is authorized to verify in whatever way reasonable or appropriate the place of residence, including, for example, checking the candidate's address with the County Board of Elections. There's a few other items. But there's a statement we're proposing to eliminate because we think it kind of conflicts with what I just mentioned, kind of poses a separate standard. It says, you know, the election committee shall use reasonable evidence that the potential candidate's address is as claimed and shall not withhold certification of a potential candidate's petition solely on the residency question. And we felt like that kind of contradicts the above statement, so we actually have to verify by an objective means. So that's really the internal view of the committee, that we really don't find that statement value add and a little bit confusing. It's been in the rules for a long time, but we thought it might be time to enhance and take that out. The other ones are a little more straightforward. Petition candidates are expected to circulate personally the petition in their neighborhood, but they may have a disability, mobility issues, health issues that could prevent that. So they may run through an exemption to have a delegate do that, but we're putting in a requirement that that request be submitted in writing, and we're stating that the committee will respond in writing. Another item pertains, we're really trying to align the rules with actually what's in the petition packet and the forms. The forms, maybe Ryan will know this, that when you go out and collect signatures from neighbors to, sign your petition so you can be eligible, the form actually says that a printed name, it actually has slots for printed name, valid signature, residence address, residence phone number, email, and date signed. But the rules don't actually specify the printed name and date signed are required, so we're lining up, we're putting proposals to tack those 2 data points on to line the rules up with what the forms actually say. There's a few other additions around write-in candidate applications. We've seen an uptick in write-in candidates over the years. First proposed change is really clarifying that there's 2 eligibility, two actual profiles of people who could run as a write-in candidate. Those who have not submitted a petition packet, or those who submitted a petition but it was not validated by the committee. Maybe there's a problem with some signatures, not enough signatures. So we're actually specifying that those are the 2 profile candidates for write-in application. Silent before, we thought it was time to maybe clarify that. Then there's a bunch of changes additions about the process for the write-in candidate, how they walk through getting the forms, what's required, that really just line up those process requirements with what's already in the rules around petition candidates. We just thought that put the same level of detail around write-in candidates that is available for petition candidates. And let's see, I'm almost done. Yes, one more. There's a section around polling procedures. And those of you who voted in the past know you need to, usually people take out their driver's license, you validate who they are, and their age and residency. But there's a section around alternative forms of verification, include a photo identification, that actually include an out-of-date address, plus a bill, check, or the like, showing current address. We wanted to add language in saying the photo ID should show current age. It can have an out-of-date address, like I said. And also a change to say that the bill, check, or something like that that's presented, it can be printed or digital. Trying to get into the digital age. When we debated driver's license, could you show up at digital? A lot of people scan it. So we said, hey, if you're pulled over by the police, you're still expected to take out your actual license. So same standard for CAC, maybe we'll revisit that at some other time. But those are the proposed changes. Hopefully you can appreciate their kind of technical and enhancing. And what I'll do, I passed around that outline for you folks just to follow on, or maybe you can review it later, but I will email to you the actual rules with the changes embedded. If you have any questions, and if any questions from the public, I'm happy to take those too.
Thank you for such a thorough and efficient rundown. This was really, really helpful to all. I really appreciate it. I think this was really clear. I don't have questions. Other commissioners? Yeah, Commissioner Moritz.
Probably should change current age to date of birth.
Okay, I'll think about it. That's what committee decided to, yeah, that's probably actually clearer. The date of birth is supposed to name. I will make a note of that and put that in when I circulate to you guys. Okay?
Any questions from the public?
Thank you.
Great, thank you so
Take your
much.
attention.
And thank you to the committee as well. Please share our gratefulness to them. Next up, Commissioner Kroll, I'll ask you to introduce the resolution 2024-1 and the discussion of that item.
Resolution 2024-01 is a collaborative agreement between the Columbus Recreation and Parks Department and the Clintonville Area Commission / Green Spot Committee to produce Arbor Fest 2024, first event of what may be an annual event. But this is intended as a citywide invitation to people to come to Whetstone Park and learn about the importance of trees, or tree canopy, how the tree canopy is maintained and improved, and all sorts of associated other environmental education activities and entertainment. It's going to be quite a festival. But the point of this resolution is this Columbus Recreation Parks Department requires us to have a collaborative agreement with them in order to obtain a special event permit to do Arbor Fest. And originally this started as a memorandum of understanding, which the city attorney advised us that we cannot do as a area commission. So instead, we're doing it in the form of a resolution with fairly minor collaborative agreements. There's nothing legally binding in this resolution, but it does enable Green Spot and the area commission to obtain a special event permit so that this event can occur. That's what it's about. I read it into the minutes of the last meeting. You have it in front of you here. I believe some folks from Green Spot are here. And I don't think anybody from CRPD is here, but anyway, I guess I'd just like to have a discussion about it and then hopefully have a vote.
Fantastic. Are there questions and comments from the commissioners for Commissioner Kroll or for Green Spot? Chair Kern, is there anything that you wanted to add to Commissioner Kroll's comments before we vote on the resolution?
I think this would be a really great way to, I think, as growing up in Clintonville my whole life, I definitely missed the 4th of July events that happened with the fireworks. That was kind of the centerpiece of Clintonville's year. For me as a child growing up, at least. And so we don't have that anymore. And I think it does kind of leave a gap in celebrating Clintonville and getting the community out together. So this would be a much more environmentally friendly way to get people excited about Clintonville, coming out to Clintonville. It would be a citywide Columbus Arbor Fest, but it would of course be housed at Whetstone Park, at least for the first year. If we do other years, we'll have to address that and see if we want to change that. But this would be a really great way to bring people out to Clintonville and also get them, all different ages, involved in our tree canopy and environmental stewardship in a fun communal way. And I personally believe that if we're going to address climate change, we need to do so by knowing our neighbors. Individualism, this individualistic approach is not going to work. And you need to not only know your neighbors, but be able to talk to them about it and inspire them and talk through the difficult things. And I think the best way to do that is to actually meet them face to face. I personally don't know that many of my neighbors on my street because we live in a digital age where you get in your car and you go to work and you stay inside a lot. Even gardening, people kind of stay in their own lane, and walking their dogs, stay in their own lane. So we hope to not only provide time for people to come together and talk about trees, but also to meet their community members and listen to music. So sorry, that's long-winded.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I want to thank both of you, and Ryan Foshi is not here tonight I know a lot of meetings went into this, a lot of discussion, and I think that this opportunity has the potential to really be a feather in Clintonville's cap, and I'm excited about the energy around it. Commissioner Weinman, please.
Who's paying for the permit?
They have their own budget. Green Spot is developing a budget. There are a number of pay items in it, and that's one of them.
Where does the money come from that goes into their budget?
Anna would know better than I.
Multiple sources. So we have fundraising events as one, and then some grants as well. This is Noah Faust. He's also been working very closely with this.
So there'll also be some fees for some of the for-profit vendors, and we also plan on finding business sponsors to be featured at the event and to help fund some of these activities.
Do we know what the fee is for a special permits fee? Do we have an amount? Just curious.
There's multiple line items.
Okay.
But it's a couple $100. One thing is we have talked to the Parks Department, so we're not sure, since we're partnering with them, whether they'll waive those fees or not, but right now we're assuming that we'll be paying them. And just to be clear, so Green Columbus is going to be our fiscal sponsor. So any like donations would be through them, so they'd be the kind of financial side of it.
So nothing's touching CAC's budget.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They're a CAC.
They're a CAC committee. Do you have more follow-up questions?
No, that's fine.
Do any other commissioners have questions? Do any of our neighbors in the public have questions? Yeah, please.
What's the approximate budget for the whole event?
So we're estimating a range right now. We're expecting that it'll be somewhere between $6,000 to $15,000. It's a wide range, but we wanted to make sure that we're doing both a low end and a high end estimate, so that we know it's going to be somewhere probably in the middle. But we know we have kind of a target for what to hit. And obviously, there's some things that'll scale depending on how much money we raise. So.
Yeah, please. How is the date determined? Like, I know years ago we had the Rose Festival that kind of went away because
we were talking about that on Monday,
funding.
actually.
And so I'm just wondering if there was any thought about doing this festival while roses are in their peak, anything like that, to kind of get a 2-for-1 there.
Yeah, so actually, it's interesting you mentioned that because we talked to some of the Parker Rose's master gardeners at our meeting on Monday about this event, and they also brought up the Rose Festival. But the date, the August 24th date, was chosen because Brian did quite a bit of research and found that in terms of finding a day that had minimal conflicts. It's before football, like OSU football has started, things like that. There's no other, big citywide events that are happening on that date that we know of at this point. So, we did consider quite a few different dates, and that was the one that seemed like kind of, I guess, the biggest hole in the schedule that we could fill.
Also, in terms of sports that are played at Whetstone Park, we didn't want to conflict with that, especially because there is minimal parking, and so that was another consideration as well.
Any other questions?
I just have a concern. The commissions are not allowed to accept funding from other sources beyond the city of Columbus, and since this is a subcommittee of the Clintonville Area Commission, I think that this body should think about that.
But
the way this has been set up is Green Columbus has agreed to be the financial partner for this. So they're going to be the ones accepting all money, and they're going to be the ones distributing all money. So we're not actually touching it.
I think I can live with that.
They're also the ones who put on Earth Day, which is coming up. So they're a great partner because not only can they act as the 501c3 fiscal partner, but also they have experience with not just events, but events that are of a similar nature. So they're a really great partner.
I feel as though Green Spot is represented here through Clintonville as more of a logistical and promotional arm of this event. Would that be an overall? Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But going back to the resolution.
Yeah.
Says Green Spot Committee shall apply for a special events permit for these.
So why is the other? Yeah.
So then Green Columbus should be applying for that permit.
So Green Spot would fill out the application, but the fees would be coming from.
So they could be standing right next to me and handing me a check.
Any other thoughts on that process?
Are you, just to clarify, is there a problem with Green Spot signing the application?
Well, if there's a payment involved, that means the money's running through the CAC. they are a committee of the CAC. This is what I try to address.
But the check is coming from Green Columbus.
Actually,
Well, ultimately, but it's kind of like they're money laundering.
well, so there's actually, I have the application open right now. And there's actually a separate section for, who's billed. There's, billing information essentially. And so we're helping to, do all the planning of filling out that application. But then Green Columbus would be the ones who would, pick up the tab.
A suggestion, maybe recital number 5 should name Green Columbus as part of the delineation responsibilities. And at that point, there would be blank responsibility as business partner.
Do you think that number 5?
I think it's number 1. Yeah. It's the one related to mortgage. Oh, I'm reading.
Recycle.
Yeah, recycle.
I was on page 2.
Where would you suggest something like that? No.
I think they should be named at the end there as part of delineation responsibilities.
So remove both and add a comma, Green Columbus and CRPD, so all 3 entities are listed in recital 5. Any other discussion on the resolution? Is there a motion to vote on the resolution with the addition of Green Columbus as one of the responsible parties? I'll move. Is there a second? Second. Commissioner Moritz?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Kroll?
Yes.
Commissioner Hively?
Yes.
I am a yes. Commissioner Lada?
Yes.
Commissioner Nutter?
Yes.
Commissioner Lee Osborne? Yes. Commissioner Wyman?
No.
Thank you, Green Spot. And please keep us posted on updates as the event evolves too. Thank you. And only 3 minutes behind. We are ready to begin that discussion from Zoning and Variance Committee. Chair Hardwick.
Just go ahead and sent out part of the Columbia gas application, 2 pages of additional materials are part of the application. I previously emailed it to the 2 commissioners for the district, the chair and vice chair. I realized that I had not sent it to the full committee, but I think the chair can put it up. Okay, started. The one addition to this is we did also have demo permit waivers for at the end of the Columbia gas.
Right. I forgot to put that out there, sorry.
And you also circulated in advance, and I didn't check, I didn't catch it. So, let's see, the first item on the agenda was BZA 24022, 84 West Longview. The applicant seeks variances to reduce the rear yard requirements from 25% to 15% and to reduce the side yard requirements from 20% to 20% to 15%. We sent out notices to the neighbors and received absolutely no negative comments. Oh, he does say he does plan to put, he wanted to put like a master suite above it. This is physically attached to the house. I don't know, I think there's some considerations whether the city considers it detached, but it is physically attached. There are no variances as to use permit, so whatever the law allows them to do with it, you can do with it. You're not voting on changing whatever he's allowed to do with it. It's only these variances. Remember, did go look at the site. It made sense given what the alleyway looked like. We found no one at the committee had concerns about it. The neighbors didn't have concerns about it. No one's improving their house, so we voted unanimously to recommend approval.
Thank you. Is the applicant here this evening?
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Is there anything you would like to add to Chair Hardwick's presentation about that application?
Not really. Just a small lot. A normal modern garage is just barely fitting. And it's always an issue in my neighborhood anyway, about side yard, rear yard, whatever you want to do, anything. Back. So, yeah.
Thanks for coming tonight. Are there questions from the other commissioners? Are there questions from the public for the applicant? Okay. Is there, we'll go ahead and vote on BZA 24-22, 84 West Longview. Commissioner Moritz?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Kroll?
Yes.
Commissioner Higley?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Lotta?
Yes.
Commissioner Nutter?
Yes.
Commissioner Lee Osborne?
Yes.
Commissioner Weinman?
Yes.
Thank you. Your motion has been approved and good luck with your project.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Have a nice evening.
And on the two Columbia gas applications, one for East Weber and one for West Weber, CD 23139 and 140, just to clarify what exact variances they're asking for on that list, they withdrew their request for the parking related variances. They couldn't figure out, it didn't seem they needed it for what they were saying, so he said you don't need it, why vote for it, so we removed the parking. The second, they had two overlapping variance requests, one for prohibited uses to allow a natural gas pumping station in the area, and also for the variant from the R3 residential district permitted uses. We got that. We voted on both of those initially on the first one for East Weber, but because there was one no vote on the prohibited uses, figuring that that's just included in the second one. So that when we went to the West Weber, they withdrew the prohibited uses and just went forward on the residential district. The key is, the committee said they should be allowed to, we know what they're building there, they should be allowed to do it. That's not a problem. They also gave us a clarifying list of variances, which I'm sorry, I only circulated to 4 of you. I should have sent to all of you, but I sent to Chair Holton,
this is the document, right?
Yes. And maybe can you make it big enough for them?
Yes.
Okay.
We'd be happy to go through all the variants
Okay.
and explain them.
Okay, then I'll let them do that and be like,
sure.
I just say the one question that I thought was critical is why here? Because if we're talking about wanting to go across the river, thinking to go across the river or someplace more industrial, and the answer was that this is where all the lines are coming in right now. And if they wanted to do someplace else, it would be a massive deal of rerouting pipes to a lot of disruption to the big road. And it's just, this is where, if we want less disruption, this is the least disruptive way to do it. The committee was also very impressed with the work that they've done to try to make this to fit the neighborhood. I remember talking to him earlier and asking what I thought could be useful there. I said, you don't, my opinion doesn't matter. Talk to the neighbors, and they have. They've talked to the neighbors about landscaping, about materials, and I'll let them explain it. We were very impressed with their effort. They'll explain it better than I do. We voted, with the one exception of that negative vote on the prohibited uses, everything else was an aye to recommend approval.
Thank you, Chair Hardwick. And welcome, Mr. Capozzo.
Do you mind if I hook up?
Come on up.
Sure.
I think you should be able, do you have an HDMI?
I did bring one if you want us to switch it over.
I think that's probably the easiest, and you can just get right into the
Yep.
if I need to take time to talk to you.
Well, last time we were here, I think the library got shut down because of the threat, so I'm glad that we're all safe this evening. There we go. Cool. We will try to keep this high level. I know a lot of you have seen this presentation, probably heard way more than you want to. We want to make sure everyone is kind of clear about what we're doing. So my name is Luca, Public Affairs Manager for Columbia Gas of Ohio. I know I've seen and interacted with many of you, so appreciate you for continuing to be engaged and really help us build out this project. So kind of give a quick high-level overview of the project. This is a little timeline recap. So this is all the meetings that we've had, both at the Area Commission, with the Zoning Committee, and all the community forums. It doesn't include all the texts, calls, emails, exchange we've done with the neighborhood, but just kind of captures all the different feedback we've solicited from the community to ensure that we are abiding by what the community is wanting within these zoning applications. So how did we get here? Overall, this project has two components, independent but intermixed. So we are required by federal mandates to upgrade our infrastructure, both when it comes to pipeline, what's in the ground, and above ground facilities, which use these regulator stations, which is within the zoning application. The pipeline will run through Clintonville. So you'll see right here is where the new proposed pipeline would be, replacing old pipeline that is currently on this north. The two regulator stations in for application are 204, 210 West Weber, and 476, 482 East Weber. We already have approval for the pipeline, so we are not seeking approval for that. That went through Ohio Fire Siting Board, got approval. However, in order to comply with federal safety mandates, and in order to support the system, we do need these regulator stations within the pipeline itself. So these are critical pieces of infrastructure that help support our system and support the pipeline that will be installed. Overall, about a mile and a half of pipe installed roadway in Clintonville. No service impact to residents, just going to be more so maintenance and overall construction disruption. We are getting close to aligning a contractor. Once we have that in place, we do a construction walk. We'll be communicating out about start dates, construction time frames. So expect to hear from us sooner rather than later on that. So what are these regulator stations? So what I want you to think about this as is a highway, and these being the off-ramps. So just like on the highway, you increase your speed to increase your efficiency to travel from one destination to another, and then utilize off-ramps to get into your local neighborhoods, to get to your end destination. And those off-ramps do a few different things. One, they ensure you exit safely from the highway by reducing speed, going through a stoplight, and transitioning to a different speed zone. So those serve as interconnected points throughout the highway to efficiently get you to where you're going. These regulator stations, which we're building, act very similar as that. So the pipe we'll be installing is actually transmission class pipe. From production of gas to your home, throughout that, to cross state lines, across wherever it's coming from, production-wise, natural gas pressures increase to increase efficiency of it traveling and getting to that end destination quicker, just like a highway. These distribution or regulator stations act as an off-ramp. So they take that higher pressure gas, reduce the pressure to a operating level that the local distribution network can handle. There are a bunch of safety components at these regulator sites that we're adding as a part of the federal safety mandates. So just like you would slow down when you go to the stoplight and then go to your next destination, these act in the same manner where you slow the gas down, go through a bunch of different safety checks. We have a backup to a backup to a backup there to ensure safe use of the gas. And then it's on to the various different distribution networks within our system. So just like you have different speed limits, like we talked about today, 25, 35, 45, same thing with our network. We have different pressure levels within there, and these stations help get the gas to different networks and kind of filter and flow it to where its end destination is. So needless to say, they're very important. What this looks like in practice, this is the one site that we'll be rebuilding currently today. No, those AT&T boxes are not ours. We have contacted them to get those repainted for the time being. I'm still working on with them to see if they can do something else, but just want to point that out. Overall, we have about 800 plus regulator stations in the Columbus area. We have about 15 plus in and around the Clintonville area, so they are very prevalent. What you expect to see from regulator station, so this currently, is much different than what we're building now. Just as safety standards evolve over the course of many different practices, same thing goes for gas. So what these look like is not what they used to look like. and are evolving as far as what's required as an operator to include at these sites. So, community feedback. Like we mentioned, we did a bunch of community feedback sessions. We did some here, we did some at Clintonville Women's Center, did some at the library down the street. We've done a bunch. And so there are 4 kind of key themes that we heard during the feedback. One, minimize exposed facilities. So initially when you came to you guys, it looked a lot different. And what we heard was, we don't want to see anything we don't have to. Can you please enclose as much as you can? Second was mitigate fencing. So first iteration we had a lot of fencing around the facilities because they were exposed, and the fencing was acting as a security mechanism to ensure that no one would be able to get to our site. So what we heard was enclose everything and try to limit the fencing because of the 8-foot requirement. It would look odd. Next was provide value-related landscaping. So really do our best to make sure that the site looks like a home, residential area, and add some kind of value to the overall community. Then finally, more than anything else, ensure that the site matches homes in the area. So when you're driving down the street, we don't want to know that's there as much as someone else driving from another neighborhood would know it's there. So we want to make sure that it goes with the flow, looks the same, and is in accordance with what community standards we have. So this is just a quick high-level picture of the different plots we're looking at. So in West Weber, it is a 4-plex. I want to clarify too, all these properties are officially Columbia Gases. They have all been officially closed. I think all of them are vacating or in the process of being vacated. I think that one just got vacated today or yesterday, but that is the one on West Weber. And this is the plots on East Weber, which is right next to our current facility that we own at the corner. So we did also want to make sure that what was asked of us was to make sure everything matched. So just want to note some inspirations that we took from the community as far as larger buildings that we thought could match the footprint of what we're doing. So this is some homes, took a screenshot of along West Weber. Again, we try to keep in mind when we were designing the product. And then East Weber, same thing. These are some buildings in and around the parcels that we had acquired to build these reg stations. So I also want to note this is an old rendering, but it's a live rendering. So I just want you guys to get a feel for ultimately what it'll look like in kind of a interactive format. So even when you'll see the new iteration, it's changed a lot. But this kind of gives you a feel of what the overall property will flow like. You'll have a house-like structure that'll blend into the neighborhood that would have a fence in the back, just like you might have in residential capacity. You'll have landscaping all in and around. One of the things we heard most was value-add landscaping-wise. So at each site, you'll see a bioswale out front. It'll act as a rain garden for the site and give ode to the overall sustainability and green thumb that Clintonville has. So this is the West Weber site. So it'll be one plot, one building, or actually 3 separate buildings that will kind of be combined into one. But in essence, 3D rendering view, that's kind of what you'll feel like when going to the site. And this will be East Weber. And what I want to mention about both these sites is that these are community-driven designs. So for West Weber, Carrie, you guys in the West Weber community did a great job of bringing those designs to us. They said this is what we want it to look like within the confines of what we could do. So we did our best to try to match that. East Weber, Commissioner Latta and one of the other residents, when we were initially pitching these things, they said, well, why can't you guys do 2 separate buildings that look like 2 homes next to each other, like there is today? So these are design ideas coming from the community that we were able to bring to life. Same thing for here. You'll see the bioswale out front, landscaping all around. Again, these are not the final design choices. This is just the last kind of 3D rendering we had to kind of give you a feel and flow of what it's going to be. But ultimately, 2 separate buildings, kind of mimicking like a duplex or brick inspiration you saw earlier. Fences out back, again, like a residential fence. And then native landscaping all around it. So really trying to blend into what's there currently. So they give you a size proportion when it comes to scale. Each building will be kind of at the level, maybe a little bit shorter than the current buildings there. So I think this duplex was like in the 23, 24, 25 foot range as far as height goes. This building would be in the 23 to 26 range at the very top, including louvers, which are kind of like little chimneys. So height-wise, it'll be in line with what's there. Same thing setback-wise or frontage-wise. It's not going to have a front porch, but otherwise it'll be kind of in line with all the other houses. So when you're driving down, it'll kind of feel and look the same way. Same thing with East Weber. Height-wise, you'll see the alley side building is a little bit shorter, and then even the next one is a little bit shorter than that. Otherwise, they'll do a pretty good job kind of mimicking homes you'll see, with the frontage being where it's at, and kind of having that two-house design instead of one large building or just a large fence all the way around. So this was the final product of what we got for the West Weber design. So we had a community feedback session last week. We went through pretty much everything to finalize it. Roof color, shutters, windows, window color, door color, vent color, fencing, awnings or no awnings. So we went through all of it. The one thing I will note, the little window there was just an idea that we thought maybe it was a little bit fair, so we can take the window out if you guys don't want it. I know that was kind of brought about. But Terry had a great idea for the two-tone front, that we incorporated that. I know Commissioner Nutter, you had mentioned the brick coins at the side, so those would be kind of inset brick within kind of a front stucco feel, kind of give it that two-tone look and really make it like a nice, modern, cool feel. So this is side views and back views. So you'll see some of the things we changed. We changed the brick color a little bit, changed the roof color a little bit. A lot of the features are kind of darker by nature, so again, kind of like that modern feel. The doors will be black. The roll-up garage door will be like a dark brown, black color. Shutters will be the same color as the roof and louvers, as well as the gutters. And otherwise, a kind of two-tone look will carry back to the back. Again, there was some discussion about can windows go in the back. You certainly can do that if you guys want. If not, we'll leave it as is. So it's still very flexible.
Yeah. Is there still electronics building in the backyard?
Yep.
Just not shown on these renderings?
Yep, so that's shown right down here. So the two things we'll have on site on the back will be contained within the fencing. So what we heard fencing wise was 8-foot wrought iron with privacy slats within it. So kind of black, dead in any kind of opacity looking through. So there will be 3 exposed facilities in the rear, one of which you really won't be able to see. So the SCADA building is electronics building. It's where any of our electronics kind of power the site would be at. That building is a 8-foot prefab building, flat roof. So with the 8-foot tall fence, you really won't be able to see it from any capacity looking in. You may just be able to see the top of the roof. Next to that would be a backup generator. So just like you would have a residential setting, if you want to have a natural gas backup generator in case power went out, we'll have the same thing on site. It's not going to be a large commercial generator. It would be the same as a home would have, and it'll only work if the power goes out. Then lastly, there'll be an emergency relief valve on site to the back. The reason why it can't be contained in the building is because it has to vent in case of emergency when it's being used. Ultimately, it'll be dormant unless it's needed, and those emergency relief valves are some of the requirements that the federal safety guidelines required to be at these sites. These relief valves in case of emergency. So these are required to vent, let off pressure if needed, and these are part of those requirements that we're making sure we are following. Otherwise, fencing, 8-foot tall, so to enclose that, that's our security requirements to ensure that people aren't hopping over and getting in. The overall valve height at its peak would be about 10 feet 10 tall. In essence, it's a Y-shaped structure, so there'll be kind of a thick pipe and then 2 kind of curved pipes going up. So you would see about the top 2 or 3 feet of that from the very back. Otherwise, pretty much everything will be enclosed in that fencing area. All the windows kind of throughout the site, go back for a second. The top windows you'll see here will all be just regular clear windows. These vents here and the louvers up top play a really key role. One of the things we heard early on in the feedback was, can you make this energy efficient and really not make it an energy suck from a standpoint when you're looking at how do we properly move air throughout the building. So if we enclose everything, we have to make sure we're moving air, getting air in and out to achieve the proper flows to ensure that we can safely enclose all the facilities there. So within that, the vents on the side, louvers up top, are able to do that without needing any type of mechanical fan movers to do so. So it's all natural ventilation that will be on the side. Lighting will be pretty minimal. It will just be on the entry doorways, just like you would have a residential setting next to a porch. We can put a hood on those to make them any kind of color you want. So they're going to be very limited to those areas. You can have an on and off switch. So it'll be very minimal lighting. There's not going to be any tall light poles shining down on it. Same thing, there's not going to be any security cameras posted all around. It'll be very much like a residential setting. So this is the quick landscape plan from that perspective. You see the bioswale up front. All the flower beds will be river rock to kind of make sure it's low maintenance. We did run the landscape plan, planting-wise, past Green Columbus to kind of get their approval and ensure we're using native plants only. You know, that was very important, so I wanted to make sure we were abiding by that as well. What Stephen had mentioned, there was a lot of discussion in the zoning application, the zoning committee meeting last week about the driveway restricted use. Where we kind of ended up was if we pave it, it'll eliminate that, and I think everyone was okay with that. So the little driveway area you'll see to the back left-hand corner, that would be paved. Otherwise, everything else around would be river rock, native plants, and just grass out front. And then also too, all the drainage would go out to the street with that kind of acting as a retention pond and connecting to the gutters going out. So East Weber. So there's two buildings there, and one of the things that we kind of discussed in the feedback forums was, even though they're similar, we can make them look just a little bit different to give it a little bit of character. So kind of what we came up was, one had a little bit of a different feel, the other one had a little bit slightly variation of this feel. So the west building, again, we went through brick, shutters, windows, roof, gutters, louvers, fencing, pretty much anything you can think of when it comes to this. We asked our community for their input based off of design options from our manufacturer. So ultimately, that's what it looks like. I will note the one thing that the shutters, thought was we can make them a little bit lighter than the roof color. So I don't know if it shows up great on here, but kind of like a gradient feel. So just note that's kind of the plan for the shutters. This is for the other building. So a little bit of a different feel. You have a white door, a little elliptical up top, a little octagonal window there. All the windows will be white. Roof color is a little bit different. Again, shutters will be same thing. They'll be kind of a gradient, slightly less saturated version of this. So that's kind of what we're going for based off the committee input for both these buildings. This is the side and back profile. So you notice the fence is a little bit different. Going through the many iterations of feedback, what we heard was, can you guys do a kind of faux wood type look to really make it look more residential? So what it will be is a wrought iron base with faux composite wood, kind of a medium toned wood color that will go in those slats that will contain the two fences and items out back of these properties. So pretty similar for this as far as design goes. No mechanical air movers, all will be naturally ventilated. 8-foot tall fence. 2 valves that we're required to have on site will be behind this building. So this will be kind of the area where that current cinder block building is at now on the alleyway corner. Otherwise, on the other building, well, our electronics building, the house, and all that, the only difference will be a heater stack that'll be there. At its peak, the top stack will be 14 feet tall, so it would be about 6 feet over the building. Otherwise, it'll be sandwiched between that building and the 8-foot SCADA building, so kind of deaden anything you notice from that perspective. I think what else we have there. Pretty much the same footprint, same kind of design choices, just a little bit different when it comes to color and schematics. So this is the landscape plan with the bioswale. Again, everything would route to the street through the little retention pond there. Same thing driveway wise, we kind of talked through that, and the thought was we paved that. One of the concerns we're going to do our best to address is the flooding in the alleyway, knowing that that is an issue. So kind of what we talked about with the driveway is we can do some stuff to grade it. So it's not graded, toward the alleyway, it's almost graded downhill, so anything would flow off the alleyway, kind of through here, hopefully out to the street. So there's some different things we can do once we get to production phase, but I know drainage was a big topic of discussion, so that was kind of our thoughts to address that. The same thing, all river rock, native landscaping ran through Green Columbus. The one opportunity area that is still available is the back left corner there where the current cinder block building is at. That'll have to be up and running until we completely construct this site. And once this is in use, we would deconstruct that, and then if there's something that the community wants to put there, we're happy to do so. So I know there was I think maybe like a bat box someone mentioned, or maybe some smaller trees there to kind of help shade it. I know also a landscape rock was mentioned because trucks kind of cut the corner there. So we're still working through that, and we're completely open to if there's something really important there. So ultimately, these sites are important to our system for system safety and reliability. we want to make sure that we're operating our system safely, and this will only add to that capacity. We will have techs that will come in and monitor these sites on a regular basis, so just like you see now, except they won't be blocking the alleyway, so you guys don't have to worry about getting through. No parking space there, but they'll be on a regular basis checking through things. Otherwise, we do have a 24-hour monitoring system in the Arena District in Columbus, so they also will be watching the sites to ensure that we are all good to go. One other thing I want to mention, so actually two things real quick. One, I know there's talk about making sure we're being held accountable for these sites. Once we order these, we can't really return them. So from an essence of what we're showing here is we're going to go to the manufacturer and order, and then once we get that, we'll then work to assemble it. So kind of like IKEA, only that unlike IKEA, we can't return the site. So what you see is what you're going to get as far as site design wise. And then the other thing too we talked about was why there. So some of the safety mandates when it comes to site selection was when you have a bunch of pipes. Say if you have a pipe this long and it's serving a million customers downstream. If you get a hit line or an outage, and you have no breaks in that system, you're affecting potentially 1 million people downstream. These regulator stations segment that pipe to really separate and segment population. So if there's an outage or a hit line, we can maybe only affect 10,000 as opposed to a full 1 million. As a part of the safety mandates, we are required to have these reg stations and these relief valves every so often. So that's why it is critical that we have to have these in certain locations, really trying to maximize those limits to ensure that we're only doing this as much as we can, limiting the impact for these stations. Otherwise, when it came to site selection, we have to balance, like Stephen had mentioned, if we were to move these sites based off of what facilities are currently there, it would only mean more disruption to reroute all the pipes at these sites. So like we mentioned, all the pipes flow up through here and out to different systems. We move this, we have to move everything else with it. For the East Weber site, I know it was mentioned, Petrol Alley, or Annie's I think was mentioned, can you guys do that? We looked at that and that site was ultimately too small. So for initial outreach, for example, for East Weber, we kind of reached out to a general block there, asking which homeowners would be interested in selling their homes. We were open to kind of that blockish area. So we knew we needed to be there based off what we mentioned. It's not even getting into the flow of our system. So similar to a water table where if you lean it too much this way, it's gonna spill. If you lean it this too much way, it's gonna spill. We really have to, our gas system flows, it has pressures, and we have to work to balance it. These regulator stations help do that. So we reach out to a general block consensus within East Weber. That's kind of how we reached these two, is that these two property owners are willing to sell based off of kind of that area we talked about. So do want to mention those two things. I want to be mindful of time as well, but Jeremy with our design team is going to walk through real quickly the different variances, just so you're familiar about exactly what these mean in the scheme of why we're applying for them.
Yeah, I'll try to go through these quick since I know I only have about 10 minutes. Looking at the first one, 312411 for the stormwater runoff. This is one of the bigger concerns I know from the last meeting. Both of these project sites contain unusual circumstances, including irregular topography along the front and neighboring parcels. The soil has low infiltration rates and irregular historic drainage patterns around the surrounding properties. Along with this and the small sites, about 1/3 of an acre or less, this is why we're requesting these variances. So looking at the hydrologic requirements, the proposed plans provide rate control through the use of a rain garden and the implementation of a water quality outlet structure at the point of discharge, would provide staged discharge and runoff rate. The rain garden has also been designed with storage volume to capture post-developed runoff volumes and release them at pre-developed rates. For stormwater runoff quality control, the proposed plans provide water quality to the discharge runoff. However, the specific drawdown time, pre-treatment, and permanent micro pool volume requirements are not fully met. The proposed plan implements best management practice in the form of the 3 rain gardens used to break up the concentrated flow across the site, act as bioretention cells, provide water quality control, and reduce sediment-laden runoff from the site's discharge. Additionally, the proposed design preserves minor portions of the historic drainage patterns in the location where runoff does not enter one of the rain gardens. These flows, when compared to the pre-developed rates, match the 1-year, 24-hour storm event and are reduced at the 100-year, 24-hour storm event. Any questions about the stormwater runoff 3124?
Were you just close, and that's why you're asking for the variance? Because it seems like you're achieving some of the goals of the CC manual, the stormwater manual, right?
Yeah. Yes.
But you just didn't, you couldn't fully.
Yes, you are correct there.
Okay.
Moving on, looking at 33, 32, 41, rooftop telecommunication installation. We are assuming that the power and communication will come in from a telephone pole to a small SCADA building that will be behind our fence in both locations. Those lines will tentatively come in over the top of the fence, connect to our SCADA building at the roof. Otherwise, there will not be any communication equipment mounted to the roof of the building other than the power and communication lines coming into the facility over top of the fence. So just cables. Any questions, comments there?
What's the variance for?
Just that it's coming in through the roof there.
Yeah.
And what's it supposed to do?
So there's connecting the power from the power poles to the SCADA building there. So the SCADA buildings are kind of electronic cell that helps power the site, so like your Wi-Fi, any electronics. So we just need, I think the variance was that it's coming in through the roof at that point. We're not having direct TV or anything installed there.
Nope. No,
But everyone gets their power from the power pole overhead.
I don't know if there's any.
I believe it's because it's coming through the roof. I think that's where the variance is.
We were trying to be over cautious and applying for more things than not, just to ensure that we're being more transparent and not trying to hide anything. So that was a thought, like for the same thing for the private access and parking. I think we kind of talked through that. Prohibitive use and activities. I know when Jared was here last, or with the zoning committee, natural gas wasn't specifically called out as prohibitive use, but we just thought we'd apply for it just in case there's any discussion. Again, we want to be transparent, ensuring that we're applying for things more than.
As stated earlier, we scratched the parking requirements and also the prohibited use and activities. The residential district, 3332.035, natural gas reg station is not listed with the use permitted within the code. Therefore, it was listed as a variance. Obviously, this isn't a residential building.
Again, it's kind of the same thing. It's not clearly saying you can't, it's just not listed, so we do that just to be safe.
Then the last few regarding the side yard, maximum side yard is required, minimum side yard permitting, rear yard, and the side or rear yard obstruction. The spirit of listing these codes as requested variances is because we are proposing either the building that covers the reg equipment, fencing, or an access drive right up to the property line on the rear and sides of these two properties. We have maintained the setback in the front of each property as required to try and ensure these structures blend in as much as possible from the main street. But with the expansion, we will be placing some sort of structure, fence, or pavement very close to the property line on both properties. And I can go into the specifics for each site if you want, and that's the gist.
I know we're getting close on time. I want to make sure we do have time for public comment. Yeah. Could we pause and consider East Weber? Could commissioners share any questions or discussion they have on East Weber? And then we can move on to West Weber, just so that we keep things going. Do any commissioners have comments or questions on the items related to East Weber that were just covered?
I don't have questions on it. I just think Lupe and his team have done a good job of listening to the neighbors and coming up with a plan that they agree with. So, I see neighbors here, if they had comments, I think they're the ones living next to it, but I'd rather hear from them than from me on their thoughts.
Any other commissioner comments before we take neighbor comments?
I could just mirror that quickly. I think this is drastically different than what was proposed in the very beginning, so I'm happy to see the changes.
I'm just really glad that there were architects living next door to this.
Yes.
And they decided to raise their hand and get involved, so.
Yeah, Chair Hardwick, yeah.
They were reading in the email that they sent word for word.
Yeah.
It might be helpful to put back on there the West Weber and East Weber variances.
Just side by side.
The side, or the
Bullets.
explanation of exactly what they wanted. The access drive is very close to the property line, where they explain exactly what the variances they wanted. And it might be worth putting up and just going to that second page.
I'm just a little worried about the time.
I know,
and technology.
that's why I suggest putting it up instead of reading
Yeah.
it through.
While I'm doing that, are there neighbors that would like, I know there were a lot of folks who were really closely engaged on this process. Would anyone like to provide neighborhood comment?
On East Weber.
Yes.
Mark Devine, 486 East Weber.
Thank you.
I will start out with Columbia Gas has never talked to me about anything. Has never contacted me. I'm the only house within 50 feet of this operation. And my house is 3 feet from the property line. So this is a great concern to me, that having this massive structure within several feet of the property line. I don't know what it's going to do to my values. I have no idea. That's a concern. This is a tenant-occupied property. I know there's going to be apprehensive down the road of people wanting to rent this property from me. It's a concern. I've been a Columbus firefighter for 38 years, and I've been on a lot of gas leaks and gas line fires. With that being said, I know with thousands of miles of gas lines in the city of Columbus, this is very minuscule, and the likelihood is very unlikely. But with the news media coverage of major incidents, that's in people's minds, and so this, to me, for future purchasers or tenants, is going to be a great concern. I wish there was a buffer zone, 20 feet with large evergreen trees or something like that. But obviously, from looking at the diagram, there's no room on your side, and obviously I'm 3 feet from the property. There's no room on my side to make any kind of buffer like that.
So what we kind of talked about is we're more than willing to plant trees on the property line directly next to it, so that's something you'd be interested in. We'd be happy to do that, understanding
Well,
it's very limited.
When you're that close, there's not much sunlight between two property. I don't know how your building's within what, 8 feet of me maybe? I don't know.
So the driveway would be up against the property line there.
On the east side?
Yes. Yes.
So, I mean, it's all very close. I just wish you would have gotten, I don't know why I was never contacted. You said you contacted everybody, but I never was contacted. I'm the closest one to it.
We did send out mailers to that. I know I did send out mailers directly to the kind of quarter-mile area several different times on different occasions with the direct property address. So perhaps that's maybe why I went to the tenants currently there and not the property address.
Well, I think you would be under some obligation to look at who owns the properties myself. I just see lost property value down the road and lost income down the road. And, this was a supplement to my retirement income, so that's a concern to me. I don't know what we can do about it. Obviously, I'm in a catch-22 here. I know you're going to get the zoning. There's no doubt about it. It's a federally regulated utility, so you're definitely going to get the zoning. So, but it definitely affects me.
Thank you for coming today and for sharing your comments. Maybe, I know Luke has been very proactive about sharing your information. Maybe the two of you could connect as well after this meeting and talk about some of the buffer options that were just discussed.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Are there other public comments tonight on the East Weber property? We'll start with. Okay, is there, would we like to vote on East Weber and then move on to West Weber? Okay. So I'll go ahead and do a round robin vote on all of the variants related to East Weber. Commissioner Moritz.
Should we make a motion?
Oh, for zoning, we have to do we have to vote, so it's not a motion for zoning, right? We didn't move on the last one. We can make a motion, sure.
Well, I'm wondering if we should make a motion considering David's suggestion earlier that, based on the elevations and renderings that we presented,
Okay. Is there a motion based on the elevations and renderings presented tonight that we approve East Weber?
And then, I checked that in that email, that, because the committee considered that email very important, it's specified, to just say side yard variance.
Would you like to say more about that?
It's, go to the top, there's an email, the top of that, you give the first 2 pages of the email to me dated Wednesday, March 27th, 2024 at 2:37 p.m. Those first 2 pages, are what we included in our zoning committee recommendation. Because we didn't feel comfortable just saying, here's the rule, you don't have to follow it.
Yeah. Is it okay if I just make a public comment, because it ties on to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
We just, Luca mentioned accountability, and they said, okay, as soon as they buy these things, they're, that's what we get, and that's fine, but we also want to see accountability for the future, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now. And so when Steve's saying we want approval of these very specific things and what have been shown today, so that for the future, someone else, if this ever gets turned over or this thing falls down, Florida Gas they have to put it back, not just put it on fence again. That's what I'm thinking.
So would it be appropriate to attach this to our SRF?
Yes, the first 2 pages of it.
Yeah, okay. To really encapsulate in narrative what you just showed us, essentially.
He read that other stuff, but he was reading.
Yeah. Okay, so is there a motion to approve the East Weber variances with the understanding that we are referring to the elevations provided tonight, and that we'll share this information alongside of our recommendation to City Council? Is there a motion on it? Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Commissioner Moritz.
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
Commissioner Kroll.
Yes.
Commissioner Hively.
Yes.
Commissioner Lotta.
Yes.
Commissioner Nutter.
Yes.
Commissioner Lee Osborne.
Yes.
Commissioner Weinman.
Yes.
I'm also a yes. Okay. Well, thank you for helping clarify that too. Okay, let's go back to the West Weber. I don't know if we should switch back to your view of kind of the side-by-side bullet points perhaps. Yeah, you do that. Thank you.
So I believe they should all be the same. There's not many variances.
Yeah.
It didn't include the 3rd and the 4th one.
Correct, yeah, the private access and permitted uses over scratch out.
Scratched.
Yep, because the same thing, we're paving that, and permitted uses apply, same as this one, where just was not talking about.
Yeah, okay. Is there additional discussion or question from the commission on the West Weber project? Yeah, please.
Look, we had talked about the transaction, you said that Columbia Gas now owns all 3 parcels.
Yes, I officially closed yesterday.
Yesterday, okay, because we had talked, you said it would be till tomorrow, and I expressed my concern, I didn't want to approve something that you don't know.
Yep.
Okay,
We
so.
closed early, so.
So it closed early, so that's why I didn't know. Thank you.
Are there other questions from commissioners? Are there questions or comments from the public about the West Weber project? Is there a motion to approve with the understanding that we're reflecting the renderings from tonight, and that we'll continue to share the narrative in the standard recommendation form?
So.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Moritz?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Kroll?
Yes.
Commissioner Hively?
Yes.
Commissioner Lotta?
Yes.
Commissioner Nutter?
Yes.
Commissioner Lee Osborne?
Yes.
Commissioner Weinman?
Yes.
I'll be a yes as well. So both variances have passed, and thank you for being so proactively engaging with our community. Thank you to our neighbors.
Demo.
Oh, the demo. This is the second time tonight I forgot the demo. Okay.
Okay, the SS2, this is not for permission to demo, it's to waive the 60-day waiting period. If they got no action from the commission, they could, whenever they apply for it, they just waited 60 days, they wouldn't need approval. And it's for they have 4 applications, one for 204 to 210 West Weber, one for the garage at 476 East Weber. I'm going too fast for the minutes.
You're gonna send it to me?
Yeah, okay, I will send you, The other is 476 East Weber, the home, and 480 East Weber, the home, the building, the home that's there. Those are the 4 requests that we had. We had unanimous approval after some discussion about working with, just seeing if they can get stuff out of there that might be useful to other people.
I was gonna say, I think the East Weber, we were told that they pretty much gutted the one owner occupied rental. They took pretty much everything except for the windows. I think West Weber was, I think you guys maybe saw something from it out. Yeah, so I think they're pretty much gutted, but within that, we're happy to contact like Habitat if there's windows or stuff, or doors that can be used, happy to donate those to supporting.
Any questions or comments from the commissioners on the demos from the public? Is there a motion to approve? Here, a move in a second. Commissioner Moritz?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Kroll?
Yes.
Commissioner Hiley?
Yeah.
Yes. Commissioner Lotta?
Yes.
Commissioner Nutter?
Yes.
Commissioner Lee Osborne? Yes. Commissioner Wyman?
Yes.
Thank you. Have I covered the entire zoning issue?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for keeping me accountable. Thank you very much for the
Yes.
presentation tonight, to you and your colleague, and thank you to the neighbors who put in so much time and effort around this project, and the commissioners who attended the various public meetings. Appreciate your hard work, Commissioner Nutter and Commissioner Lotta. I know you attended many sessions. Our next meeting will be on Thursday, May 2nd in this room at 7 p.m. At this time, we do have a little bit extra time to cover some public comment. If anyone came tonight with issues they'd like to talk about that weren't yet covered in this evening's agenda. Going once?
I'd like to public comment.
Please.
Up from here. I want to talk a little bit about graffiti.
Okay.
Because I noticed in District 3 that there's every single light pole, every back of the stop sign, everything is absolutely covered. The underpass on Broadway towards 71 is tagged right now where there's not the mural. So where it's just a solid wall. So I'd like to talk to our liaison if there's a way to get like a blanket cleanup on graffiti. I'm specifically asking for District 3, but because I think it's pretty prevalent in District 3 more than anywhere else that I'm seeing, maybe in 1, 2, but 3 is pretty heavy. Instead of me taking a picture and sending in a 311 request, because they're sitting here for me, because I'm doing it all the time. And so I think that if there was a team that just came out and blanketed High Street, maybe Indianola to start with, instead of me doing onesie-twosie requests, it would be much more successful in maybe eliminating some of that.
Will that be related then?
Awesome, thank you.
Along those lines, I'm curious too, maybe this is something we can look into, but what are the requirements of like private property owners to handle graffiti? Because in my district, a lot of what we see is the sides of buildings, generally commercial buildings, and it seems to kind of linger for a while. So
We have to take care of that. I mean, even the Burger King fence now is graffiti right now.
it seems like that should be able to move maybe faster, but yeah, I'm curious tonight.
See what I find out and pull it back.
Any other ideas? Okay, wonderful. Thank you everybody for attending. Meeting is adjourned.